In 1992, a 23-year-old kid from Texas walked into Hollywood with a movie he made for $7,000. No studio backing, no professional crew, no film school degree. Just a borrowed camera, his hometown friends, and a guitar case full of ambition. That film was El Mariachi, and it didn't just get picked up by Columbia Pictures. It became one of the most profitable low-budget films in cinema history, made by one man who refused to wait for permission. But here's what most people don't know. The story behind the scenes is even wilder than the movie itself. Stay with me, because some of these facts are genuinely hard to believe. Fact number 1. Let's start with the number everyone knows and the part almost no one does. The total production budget for El Mariachi was $7,225. Roberto Rodriguez raised roughly $3,000 of that by volunteering as a human test subject at a medical research facility in Austin, Texas. $100 a day for 30 days, testing an experimental cholesterol-lowering drug, the kind that eventually became Lipitor. He was essentially locked in a lab, hooked up to monitoring equipment with nothing to do. So he wrote a screenplay. That is not myth or exaggeration. The script for El Mariachi was written inside a pharmaceutical research ward between blood draws and check-ins. The rest of the money came from film festival prize money and whatever Rodriguez could scrape together. And here's the kicker. If you subtract the cost of film stock, processing, and the video transfer, Rodriguez later estimated the non-film costs of the entire production came to around $600. $600. Fact number 2. While Rodriguez was locked in that Austin facility, he ended up sharing a room with a man named Peter Marquardt. They'd both signed up for the same drug trial to make money, and over 30 days, they watched movies and talked film nonstop. Rodriguez became convinced that Peter Marquardt had a quietly dangerous screen presence, and he knew he had found his villain. The drug trial didn't just fund the movie, it cast it. Here's the twist. Peter Marquardt, who plays Mokul, the cold-blooded drug lord at the center of everything, did not speak Spanish at all. Every word you hear him deliver in that film was learned phonetically. He memorized sounds with zero understanding of what those sounds meant. No meaning, just mouth movements. Rodriguez said it actually worked in his favor. That disconnection, that slightly off-kilter cadence, made Mokul feel like a man operating on a completely different frequency from everyone around him. Fact number 3. Here's something that reshapes the entire story. El Mariachi was not made for Hollywood. Rodriguez made it as a direct-to-video Spanish-language film intended for the Mexican home video market. At the time, low-budget features in that market could sell for 6 figures to distributors. Rodriguez figured he'd make it around $7K, sell it for a 6-figure sum, and use that profit to fund his real first film. El Mariachi was supposed to be a warm-up, a practice run. Columbia Pictures heard about it, watched it, and offered him a full theatrical release instead. The practice film became the breakthrough. Fact number 4. Carlos Gallardo, the man who plays El Mariachi, was not a professional actor when the film was made. He was Rodriguez's childhood friend from Ciudad Acuña, the Mexican border town where the film was shot. Gallardo also co-produced the film, helped fund it, and is one of the reasons Rodriguez could pull off a feature on almost no budget, because his crew were people who trusted him personally. Gallardo later returned for the sequel, Desperado, but handed the lead role to Antonio Banderas, a choice that showed real character because he understood what was best for the franchise. Fact number 5. On a normal film production, you have a director of photography, a camera operator, a sound mixer, an editor, and a script supervisor, each a separate person. On El Mariachi, all of those roles were filled by one person, Roberto Rodriguez. He operated the camera himself, he edited the film himself on consumer equipment, he handled sound himself. Why? Because hiring a crew would have cost money he didn't have. What started as a budget necessity turned into a masterclass. He understood every element of filmmaking because he had done every element of filmmaking. Fact number 6. Rodriguez and lead actor Carlos Gallardo headed to Ciudad Acuña, a small border town in northeastern Mexico just across from Del Rio, Texas, where Gallardo had grown up, and shot the entire film in 14 days during the summer of 1991. One camera, 16mm film, and in most shots, exactly one take. Rodriguez was editing in his head the whole time, pre-visualizing cuts so tightly that he rarely needed a second angle. No reshoots were ever required. He bought 25 rolls of film for under $2,400. Development ran another $1,300. The video transfer cost roughly $2,800 more. Total cost to get the film in the can with master tapes, around $6,500. Fact number 7. Shooting in Gallardo's hometown wasn't just sentimental, it was a financial strategy. His local connections unlocked bars, a bus, the city jail, and a string of other locations completely free of charge. The fortified compound where villain Moco lounges and makes his brutal phone calls? That's the Gallardo family ranch. Fact number 8. The film's opening, a tense shootout inside a jail, was shot in the actual Acuña city jail on the outskirts of town. And the female warden you see on screen? The real warden. The male guard? The actual guard on shift. Rodriguez cast them because it was cheaper than hiring actors and renting uniforms, but the side effect was something money genuinely can't buy. An opening scene that feels completely lived in because the people in it actually lived it. Fact number 9. When shooting on the streets of Acuña, Rodriguez needed to block off sections of road without drawing a crowd. His solution? Write all the warning signs in English. In a Spanish-speaking Mexican border town, most locals couldn't read them, and the crew moved through the streets completely unbothered. But this isn't just a clever workaround. It captures the entire Rodriguez approach to filmmaking. Find the gap, exploit the gap, keep moving. Every obstacle on this production became a tool the second he changed his angle. Fact number 10. Not everyone in Acuña was thrilled about a scrappy film crew taking over their streets. Two local journalists, Ramiro Gomez and Jesus Lopez Viejo, were openly hostile, criticizing the production publicly and causing friction. Rodriguez's response was simple and brilliant. He gave them both parts in the film. They showed up, they performed, the criticism evaporated. Gomez plays Cantinero, the bartender. Lopez plays the old clerk. Sometimes the best way to handle your critics is to put them on your payroll. Fact number 11. When Columbia Pictures got their hands on El Mariachi, they knew immediately what they had. But a 16mm guerrilla film shot in a Mexican border town needed serious work before it could play in American theaters. Columbia spent about $200,000, more than 27 times the original production budget, to blow the print up to 35mm, rebuild the sound mix, and complete post-production. Then they spent millions more marketing and distributing it. A $7,000 movie ultimately cost over $1 million to release, and Columbia still made their money back. Fact number 12. El Mariachi holds a Guinness World Record for the lowest budget film to gross $1 million at the US box office. The film earned $2,040,920 worldwide. It opened on February 26, 1993 in 66 theaters, pulling a per-screen average of $4,735. More than half the entire original production budget earned back in one weekend, across 66 screens. Fact number 13. After El Mariachi blew up, Rodriguez didn't just move on. He documented the entire experience in a book called Rebel Without a Crew, published in 1995. Inside, he included the actual diary he kept during production, every problem, every solution, every improvisation. The book became required reading for indie filmmakers around the world. Rodriguez essentially handed the blueprint to anyone who wanted it. Here's how I did it, now go do it yourself. That generosity of information is rare in an industry built on gatekeeping. Fact number 14. El Mariachi wasn't just a film. It was the first chapter of a trilogy. Desperado came in 1995. Same character, bigger budget, Antonio Banderas in the lead, Salma Hayek, Steve Buscemi. Then, Once Upon a Time in Mexico arrived in 2003, with Johnny Depp, Willem Dafoe, and Mickey Rourke joining the world. The Mariachi trilogy stands as one of the most significant bodies of work in Latino cinema, started by a guy with a guitar case, $7,000, and a willingness to bet on himself. Fact number 15. In December 2011, the United States Library of Congress added El Mariachi to the National Film Registry, citing it as culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. The registry specifically noted as one of the films that helped trigger the independent movie boom of the early 90s, placing it permanently alongside the most important films in American history. A $7,000 movie, a broken wheelchair, 2 desk lamps, preserved forever. More than 30 years later, El Mariachi holds a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, a Guinness World Record, and a permanent place in the Library of Congress. All of it from a practice run. All of it from a film Rodriguez made because he had nothing to lose and a month with nothing to do. The uncomfortable question it leaves behind is the same one it's always asked. What's your excuse? Tell me in the comments which facts surprise you the most. And if you want more stories like this one, the real ones, behind the films you love, subscribe.